Shalom and welcome to another in our series of podcasts from Temple Beth Am, a dynamic center for conservative Judaism in Los Angeles. This is Meditation and Mindfulness with Rabbi Adam Kligfeld.
In between when I lead the meditations, I think about the meditations. I think about my own meditation and I explore meditation best practices. And I dip back into my immersion amongst the masters, which I, with no false humility, do not call myself one or even near one yet. Think about something that I learned from Sam Harris recently, the renowned neuroscientist, mindfulness leader, atheist, someone I actually read a lot of to intentionally push me past comfortable zones. And to make a long story short, and if you want to hear a slightly longer version of what I'm about to say here, I'm going to be talking about this tonight at Shul. He says one of the most important things that a human being can realize when it comes to knowing one's mind is that you are not your next thought. Since I've said that sentence, you've had a thought, inevitably. And whatever thought that was, it's a part of you, it's adjacent to you, it came from someplace within you, but it isn't you. And one of the main goals of mindfulness is not to reject our thoughts, but to separate ourselves from our thoughts as if our thoughts were our entirety. Thoughts were the full measure of our reality. And thinking about that, I realize that I'm glad sometimes that when we do these meditations, I'm actually trying to help you focus your thoughts on an image, an idea, and a question, something that emerges from the calendar, the parsha. And then sometimes the best thing we can do in meditation is not to be focused on our thoughts, but transcend them and exist for a few, even seconds, beyond our thoughts. It doesn't mean they're not happening. It means that they're not as relevant to our momentary reality as they normally are as we scurry around like monkeys. So today's meditation is not going to be parsha-based, Torah-based, Jewish calendar-based, rabbinic wisdom-based. What's going to be Jewish about it is that those of us on this Zoom are connected to the Jewish community. Those people who might be watching on Facebook and the podcast might be as well. And it's a very Jewish thing to try to enter into a realm beyond the earthly particulars. But where I'm going to hopefully take you is a beautiful nowhere. I invite you all to close your eyes. I invite you all to be aware that both stimulated by my words and utterly independent of my words and utterly independent even of your own consciousness, you're a rolling wave of thoughts. In a calculus kind of way, because each moment you have a thought and then a thought on that thought. And then that own thought on a thought has its exponent. But before you realize it, you're on to a different thought that somehow started anew, like a new Tetris piece that came down from the top. And they're there. And imagine for a moment that those thoughts encase you. They are your clothing, your armor. You are contained entirely within them. Even my asking you to think about that notion of thoughts is part of what is enveloping you now. And the goal for the next few minutes, as we hold this position, try to experience a gratitude for this moment. Stay at least somewhat aware of with whom we are sharing this experience, at least those who are doing it live. I want you to imagine that property of magnetism, where a magnet is equally attracting and repelling depending on what side it is facing. And imagine that repelling side of that magnet is a force field between you, however you define you, not just your body, but your identity, yourself, your mind, and that uniform of thoughts that have been adhered to you, such that if any one of those thoughts tries to attach itself, it's just repelled. And here's the hard part. Almost as if you're not trying to. The only thought I want you to have is to try to consciously transcend the activity of repelling a thought to making it comprehensive. And for as many moments as we can sustain, I want us to be a breathing, physically immobile, mindfully as immobile as possible, deflector, defender, repeller, pusher away of the thoughts that for this stretch have no right to define us. And if a thought breaks through, penetrates that armor, you can look at it with a dispassionate inquisitiveness. Oh, look at that thought. And now I send it away. Hold this conscious space for as long as you can, and the moment you fail, try again and again and again. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I'll share the closing meditation prayer, and we'll go back to our thoughts. Hopefully we had a break from them for a little bit. Not that there's anything wrong with our thoughts, but sometimes it's good to go beyond them. We'll read this 3 times. May we and all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May we all be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May we all experience true happiness that has no taint of suffering. May we live in great equanimity, free from burdening attachment to loved ones and contempt for others, but rather with compassion for all. May we and all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May we all be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May we all experience true happiness that has no taint of suffering. May we live in great equanimity, free from burdening attachment to loved ones and contempt for others, but rather with compassion for all. May we and all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May we all be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May we all experience true happiness that has no taint of suffering. And may we live in great equanimity, free from burdening attachment to loved ones and contempt for others, but rather with compassion for all. Say all shalom and namaste and Shabbat shalom. And see you soon.
You have been listening to another in our series of podcasts from Temple Beth Am, a dynamic center for conservative Judaism in Los Angeles. If you enjoy these podcasts, we invite you to write a review on the Apple Podcast site or wherever you get your podcasts. For more information about Temple Beth Am Los Angeles, go to tbala.org.